is Shannon Oliver, and I am the Manager of School Partnerships and Outreach at the loneStar College-Montgomery campus. I'm joined here today by Dallas Nelson. She's one of the coordinators in our department, and she's going to be helping me with our Q&A and our chat today. So if you guys have any questions on anything that I talk about throughout the presentation, please feel free to throw it in the chat, and we will address it either during the session or immediately after the session. So please feel free to ask questions. We want to try and make this somewhat confusing process a little bit easier for you. So that's what we're here for today. So we are here for the dual credit homeschool information session. So if you're here for that, you are in the right place. So let's go ahead and get started. So I imagine since you're here, you do have a pretty good idea of what dual credit is, but just in case you don't, dual credit is a program that allows high school students who demonstrate college readiness to enroll in college courses while they're still in high school, and it allows them to earn both high school credit and college credit at the same time. Normally when you register for college classes, you can use only SAT, ACT, or TSI to register, but a special allowance that they make for dual credit students is we allow PSAT scores as well. So we'll talk more in a few minutes about the score requirements for those exams. So really, this is just kind of giving you a good explanation of, what are the benefits of dual credit. Obviously, dual credit classes, your goal is, you're taking dual credit classes, is to get college credit for those classes. So our classes do transfer all of our classes transfer to any public state university, and most of them transfer to universities outside of the state of Texas. It really is dependent on the course that you take and the college that you're transferring to, but the courses that you take as a dual credit student are generally going to be your basics, as a lot of people say, your core. And so they're going to apply for pretty much anywhere that you go. Obviously, it's allowing you to complete your college level certifications and degree sooner because you're working towards those. We do allow you to save money as we do a heavily discounted rate of tuition. And it also allows students to build their confidence in their skills, and that it allows them to do college classes while they're still at home and they have support from their family, and they're in that environment before they go off to college and they're on their own. This dual credit really kind of helps them understand what college classes are going to be like. So it's a great opportunity. And then, of course, all of our dual credit students have access to all of the same events, tutoring, all of the same facilities that anybody as a regular student would they would also have access as a dual credit student. So we treat them just like any other student on our campus. So let's talk a little bit about what classes are eligible for dual credit. Anything that is in our core curriculum, with the exception of PHED 1164, that's going to be your basic PE class, your physical education class that's required for an associate's degree, is eligible for dual credit. Again, that PHED is not eligible. Also, a foreign language is eligible for dual credit. Anything that's in a level 1 certificate, and then anything that's in a field of study that's listed here. And our website does give a full listing of what those core curriculum classes are. Obviously, I'm not going to go through them here. And then if you are interested in doing a certificate course, those are going to be your workforce courses. So if you have a student who's interested in going into, say, welding, machining, automotive, radiology technology, things like that, those are going to be your level 1 certificate courses, and that's going to depend on what courses they can take. So you would just want to talk to an advisor about that. But for the most part, the most students that we see are taking our core curriculums. That's going to be your basic Englishes, histories, governments, math, sciences, things like that. And all of those are eligible as dual credit. The one caveat to dual credit eligibility is that developmental and co-requisite classes are not eligible. So if you have a student who is not quite college ready with their testing, they cannot take the courses in that subject area until they become college ready. And that's not a loneStar rule, that's the state of Texas rule. they don't allow high school students to take college courses that in their eyes should have been taught during the high school year. So you have to be college ready in order to take classes. The most common thing that we see is dual credit students that haven't placed college ready in math, because you have to get through a certain level in your math courses before you can really pass that TSI or place college level in that TSI. And so a lot of people want to take developmental math as their high school credit, and we just can't do that. So just like to make sure everybody understands that. Okay, so this is just a little bit about, I've talked a little bit about certificates and workforce degrees. This really just kind of gives you an idea of what the different degree types that we offer here at Lone Star are. You've got your Associate of Arts and your Associate of Science. Those are your transfer degrees. Those are perfect for somebody who is wanting to eventually go to a four-year school. And everything in those degrees of Associate of Arts and Associate of Science, for the most part, is eligible for dual credit. So your workforce degrees and your certificates, those are programs that are designed to get you into the workforce quickly. They're usually anywhere from 1 semester to 2 years, depending, and they're usually stackable, and depends on how much time you want to spend in the program. Varies based on how many credits you want to earn and how many certificates you want to earn. And so if you guys have questions about what type of workforce degrees we have or what that looks like for a dual credit student, you can get more information and details on that from an advisor. But this is just kind of a general understanding of different programs that we offer. So I have a slide later in here about the changes for the upcoming fall semester with COVID-19, but in a broad sense, there are many different ways that we provide our classes in different formats for students. It really just depends on what works best for them. In a normal semester, we would have our traditional 16-week classes in a online, hybrid, or online format. And then we also have 14-week, 12-week, and 8-week courses throughout the fall and spring semesters. And then in the summer, we have our mini-semester courses, which are typically about 3 weeks, and our summer courses, which are about 6 weeks. There are limited number of maximum courses that you can take in one semester. So in the normal semester, you can only take 18 credit hours, which is typically about 6 classes. And in the summer, you can take only 6 credit hours, which is typically, 6 credit hours per session, so which is usually 2 classes per session, and mini-semester only 1. We don't recommend, and most of you this isn't going to apply because if you're here, you're probably wanting to come in the fall, but we do recommend that for the first semester that your students start out in a full 16-week course. Try to stay away from those 14, 12, and 8-week courses for the fall, just because it's their very first experience. You know, when you have a shorter course, it's all of the same information, all of the same concepts that have to be taught in a very much compressed time frame. So make sure that they are ready for the rigor of college coursework before they go into a shortened version. All right. So talked a little bit about a heavily discounted tuition waiver. On the left is the cost for a regular college credit course. And on the right is the dual credit cost. So as you can see, it's quite a discount for each of our courses. And so hopefully that helps, because federal financial aid and state financial aid is not eligible for dual credit students. You have to be a high school graduate in order to take financial aid. So to ease some of that burden, we have some discounts available for you as a dual credit student. So hopefully that's good news for you guys. Okay, so I did talk about at the beginning how our dual credit students are treated just like all of our other college students, so they have access to all of the same campus resources and services. So this is just a good understanding, a broad overview of the types of services that we offer. Most of these things are not going to be surprising to you. We have academic advising, we have a testing center, we have disability services with assistive technology, we have a bookstore on campus, we have a career services on campus, we have counseling services, a full library, we have our own police police force on campus, and pretty much everything that you would need in order to be successful in your classes, you have that access to. Obviously, certain things are closed right now. So right now we do not have childcare, and we do not have our wellness center open at this time. So that is going to be, hopefully we'll open those back up in spring, but as of right now, those are not available. So this is just a little bit of information about the library. There's not a whole lot to say about a library, everybody knows what that is, but that is where you would go if you go on campus. That's where you go to get your student ID card. They also have printing services that you can pay for, and you can do study rooms if you have a group project. So it's a great place for you to go. And then we also have pretty much all of our important library resources have been transitioned to online. So we've got all of our online research databases, and all of that kind of stuff is online. So you shouldn't miss too much without being able to go on campus right now. The other huge thing that we've done just recently for our students is we've moved all of our tutoring online. So we know that that's just a really important aspect of being successful in courses, is having that tutoring available. And it used to be in person. Now they have it set up via WebEx, kind of like we're doing here today, except it would be a two-way chat instead of me just talking to you. And they have certain times where the student can log in for a certain subject area, and the tutor will be there to help them answer any questions, and it's completely free. So definitely take advantage of that resource, and don't let your students wait until it's too late to remedy whatever challenges they're facing. Maybe start early on those tutoring sessions so that you guys aren't in a situation where you can't fix it. Okay, so I'll just quickly go through campus safety and policies. This is just general. This is not specific to dual credit. This is just general information. In the student account, you'll see something that tells you need to complete some charisma modules. These are just informational presentations for the student to learn a little bit more about campus health, safety, risk management, things like that. It's a very standard, something they have to complete. They'll just need to do that sometime during their first year with us, and you'll see that in your account when you log in. This is just more talking about what those charisma modules look like. There's quizzes included, but again, it's just your standard informational resources about a bunch of different topics that they may encounter as a college student. And of course, I mentioned before that we have our own police force on campus. They are fully trained, fully certified police force. So when you guys do get to come back on campus, you should feel secure and safe that your students will be in good hands. We have, they're on campus 24/7, and they're there to assist whenever we need them. So they really are fantastic, and we are very glad to have them on our campus. The other thing I'll mention while I'm here, and we'll talk about it a little bit when we get to the required forms, is that students who are under the age of 16 have to be accompanied by an adult at all times when they're on the campus. So basically, just if you remember it, if they're old enough to drive themselves by themselves, then they can stay on campus by themselves. If they aren't old enough to drive themselves, they'll need to have somebody there in case of an emergency. Now, that doesn't mean you can go and sit in a classroom with them and just sit in the back and wait. No, you can't be in the classroom, but you should be somewhere on campus or in your car in the parking lot, or just somewhere that you can very easily be contacted and be there right away if something does happen to your child. So just make sure you're aware of that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be you as the parent. It can be any responsible party. So it could be older brother or sister who maybe is already attending classes there, but there does need to be some responsible adult who is available. And this is just our emergency alert notification. So today we got a notification that there was a hurricane in the Gulf or a tropical storm in the Gulf, and that might be something that might impact us. And I got a text message and an email about it. I'm just letting me know in case I didn't know already. And that's the kind of things that this emergency alert system tells you about, notifies you if classes are, if campuses are closed, or if there's an emergency on campus or something like that. So it's a good idea to sign up for those emergency alerts, just so that you guys can make sure you're in the know. And so you can access that through your myloneStar account. All right, so that's all of the general campus information. Now we're going to jump into the specifics of the dual credit registration processes. So this is the part that you're really here for today. So I did start by saying that sometimes this process can be complicated. We don't do that on purpose, I promise. But because you're a dual credit student, there are a few extra steps that you guys have to complete in order to be able to take advantage of these classes. But obviously the first step of anything is you have to complete a Lone Star College application. There is not a separate dual credit application that you complete. It's through the same application that we do for all of our students. You're going to want to log into your myloneStar account and get familiar with all of what that looks like and how to use it. You are going to have to demonstrate college readiness in one way or another. You are going to have to meet a bacterial meningitis requirement. This is only necessary if you're going to be on campus. You will need to complete a number of dual credit required forms, and then you will need to reach out with a Lone Star advisor or dual credit team member and get registered. So we'll go through each of those steps here on the next slide. So don't worry, I just went through that quickly as a brief overview. So again, step one, you're going to apply. The link to apply is here on this page. You can get to it by going to lonestar.edu/apply or go to applytexas.org. I get a lot of people who say, I clicked on the apply link on your website. It took me somewhere else. Is it supposed to do that? Yes. We are part of the Apply Texas system, and you will get taken to the Apply Texas website. It will be taken out of Lone Star. That's totally normal, totally okay. So don't worry about that. You will complete the application. There is a question in the application that will ask you if you're a dual credit student. Make sure you check that and indicate that, because that's how we get you coded correctly in our system. Okay, so then step two, like I said, you're going to sign into your myloneStar account. This is going to be especially important for you guys for this upcoming semester, because most of your students will be using their myloneStar account a bunch because they're going to be doing a lot of online coursework. So this is where you access all of that. And so when you log in, you'll see less tabs than what you see here on the left side. You'll see an applicant and a student tab. Obviously, you won't see the employee tab. But the student will be able to access any online courses they take in the on the LSC Online tab that you'll see right there. So if they're on any online classes, that's where they'll get them. But that applicant tab will tell you guys all about any requirements that you have to meet in order to register. I do want to note that checklist that you'll see on the applicant tab is specific for regular college students, and it's not necessarily indicative of all the steps that you guys need to complete. So it's going to look a little bit different. It's going to have a new student orientation tab, a checklist item on there. Dual credit students are not required to complete new student orientation. And so I get that question a lot too, is, hey, do I have to complete this? You know, why does my checklist have all of these things that I think I've done them, but they're not checking off? Don't worry about that, because it is designed for a regular college student and not necessarily dual credit. So if you have questions about that and what you need to complete or what you don't need to complete, always feel free to reach out to us and we can help you with that. But as long as you follow the steps that I'm giving you here today, you'll be in good shape. Okay. The only other thing that you'll want to note in the myloneStar account is Managed Classes. The Managed Classes tab on the image on the right is where you will go to search for any courses or look at any courses that you're registered for, including that would be where you'll go if you want to look at what textbooks are required. You click on that, you'll be able to see your classes and you'll be able to see what you're registered for. And your financial account tab, financial account tile will be where you go and pay for your classes. All right. So how do you demonstrate college readiness? So you guys don't need to write all of these numbers down. We have all of this posted on our website, or if you want, you can always take a screenshot of it, take a picture of it. But we also have this PowerPoint posted on our website along with after today, we'll have the video of this posted on our website. So you'll have all of this information easy to find. But you'll see that we do add the PSAT in there for dual credit students. So that is an option outside of the SAT, ACT, and TSI. So here's just a little bit of information about an update in regards to college readiness that will be important for you guys that's specific to this semester. So the SAT, ACT, and PSAT are not offered by our campus. They are offered by College Board, offsite, and somewhere else. So you can't take that through us, but you can take the TSI through us. And the TSI, generally, in a normal circumstance, is taken in person on our campuses. Obviously, right now, our campuses are not open, so we cannot do in-person testing, but we have partnered with a third-party company called Examity, and they are offering live proctored exams for students. So in order to be eligible to remote test, you have to have a laptop or desktop computer that has a microphone and a webcam, and the proctor will watch the student the entire time that they are testing to make sure that there is nothing suspicious going on, that they're not opening other browser windows, all of that kind of stuff. So it's totally legit. In order to sign up for that remote testing, you guys just need to go to lonestar.edu/testing-Montgomery, and Dallas will put that in the chat for you guys. So you have that, but it's also listed on the dual credit website, so you should be able to very easily find that. We do waive the testing fee of $29 for DC testers all the time, but Examity charges a $20 fee that will go up, I believe, at the end of August to, I think it's going to go up to $25. So that fee you will have to pay. That's not paid to us, so we can't waive that. And for those of you who don't know anything about the TSI, it is an exam that has reading, writing, math, and essay portion. It's an untimed exam, but it does take anywhere from 3 to 5 hours to complete, depending on the student and depending on the type of test taker that they are. You can also take, the first time you should take the full exam, but if your student places college ready in one area but not all, you can retake just a portion of the exam after that. So it's like I said earlier, it's pretty common for a student to place college ready in reading and writing but not math, because you have to get through geometry in order to be successful on the TSI, and a lot of students, when they come in as a sophomore, haven't had that knowledge yet. So they can take the exam, they don't make college level, totally okay, come back a semester later, just take that math exam. Usually it takes less than an hour, and it's a lot easier to get that done since it's not a 3 to 4 hour test. And after that first time, the TSI fee per section is $10 or $29 for the full exam. Okay. The other thing I will tell you about the TSI before I move on to this is the proctoring of that remote proctoring, of the exam is, as you probably have guessed, this is a very busy time of year for us. We have a lot of students who are trying to register all at once, and a lot of students who need to test. So make sure that if your student needs to take the exam, that they get in there as quickly as they can and get that request made as soon as they can, because there can be a wait of up to 2 to 3 weeks to be able to get a time through Examity. So make sure that you guys take advantage of the time that you have now and don't wait till the last minute. Okay, so the bacterial meningitis requirement is the next item on here. You have 2 options for completing this bacterial meningitis requirement. You can either get the shot and submit the shot records through the student's myloneStar account. You cannot submit the shot records to an advisor or to me because I don't read shot records and I don't know how to interpret them. And so we have a company who does that. That process does cost, I believe it's $10.50 in order to review those shot records. And again, that has to be submitted through their myloneStar account. The other option would be to submit a conscientious objection form. This is a form, it does not cost anything. This is a form that says that a student is objecting to completing the meningitis requirement, and you would just turn that into an admissions representative. And again, this is only required if your student is taking classes in person on our campus. So outside of that, this is a requirement that you do not have to worry about. And the other thing is we have information on our dual credit website about where you can find that conscientious objection form or even a medical exemption form. That information is on there too. That's actually a third option that you can take, and all of it is, the link is all on our dual credit website. Okay, so quickly, I'm going to go over each one of these required forms, but this is just a broad overview. I did tell you that there were several forms you had to complete, so as you can see, there are several, but the good news is you only have to do most of them the first time. Then when you return, it's just 3 quick pages that you turn in every semester, and then it's pretty painless from there on out. So we'll go over each one of those here. So the parental consent and waiver form, this is for any student that is 17 or younger. It is signed by the student and by the parent, and basically you're certifying that you understand that this is a college course, that there's a student code of conduct that must be followed, that you must be available in case of emergency, things like that. It's just a very standard consent form that you would see anywhere. So that is required in order to register for classes, and it's required the first time for anybody under 17 or under. And again, all of these forms, I believe it was on the last slide, but all of these forms can be found at a link on our dual credit website, and it's labeled Homeschool Packet. So you'll very easily be able to see this full packet of documents that you would need to download and give to us. Okay, this is a fairly new document. This is our agreement regarding minor student on campus, and this is for anybody who is 15 or under. It says a lot of the same things as the parental consent one says, but it also has some additional information about participating in activities on campus and things like that. So, and they do want you to sign this even if your student is taking online courses, because if they're going to come and use our facilities, our track or our library or our wellness center, they need to have this on file. So even if even if you say, well, I'm only taking online courses, but my child is 15, go ahead and you still need to complete this form. Okay, so the next form on the list is we call it the FERPA form. You'll hear that term quite a bit when you're talking to somebody. This is a form that allows anybody from LoneStar to talk to somebody besides the student. I get a lot of confused or maybe frustrated parents who might call me and say, hey, I want to know how Johnny is doing in his class. Can you tell me what his grade was for his math class, because he won't tell me. And I'll say, I'm sorry, I can't share that information with you. And then they'll tell me, oh, well, he's 15. You can tell me he's a minor. I can't. Without this FERPA form, I cannot talk to anybody besides Johnny because we treat him as we would treat any college student. So while this form is not strictly required, we strongly recommend it, because what you'll do is you'll fill out the top part, and then under this information may be released to section, you would put the name of anybody whom you would like to be able to talk to about the account. That way, when you call me, I will look and check and see if you have a FERPA on file, and then I'll be happy to talk to you about that account. So again, not required, but strongly recommended for your own sanity. So, and this just talks a little bit more about what that looks like. This means that parents, friends, spouses, etc., can't add or drop classes, ask about your enrollment or financial aid status without your written consent. And this is signed by the student, not the parent. The other thing that you could provide if you didn't want to sign the FERPA and you wanted to talk to us is provide a copy of your tax return showing that the student is a dependent. But FERPA form is way easier to get that permission done. So, okay, so the homeschool agreement, it is about a 10 or 11-page document that outlines all of the policies that we have for a dual credit student, what the expectations are of the student, what the expectations are for the college, and what the expectations are for the homeschool. So this is required for any new homeschool student. You have to do this. It's signed by the high school administrator, homeschool administrator, and our chancellor. And so this is on our website. Read through it and make sure that everything is up to what you need it to be, but otherwise this has to be completed every time. Or sorry, this has to be completed in order to register for the first time. Okay, so now we're getting into one of the more unique things that's special for dual credit, and that is the transcript and the grad plan. This is a document that is required every single semester that you register for classes. The transcript and the grad plan are what we use each semester when you provide us with the registration document. The transcript will show the progress towards high school graduation requirements, and the graduation plan shows us what the student still has to take in order to graduate high school. And if you prefer, those documents can be combined into a single document. If you want to show 9th and 10th grade year, this is what they took, this is their grades, and 11th and 12th grade year, this is what they still have to take, but they don't have grades yet, so it's just the classes. But either way, on our website we have provided templates, and the templates have it as 2 separate files. But again, you can use those however you like to. So let's talk a little bit more about those transcript requirements. So all of the transcripts that we receive must be typed and signed by the high school administrator. And that is because we treat these as official documents. When we receive them from you as the homeschool administrator, we are receiving an official homeschool document. And this document needs to have the student's name, date of birth, name of high school, expected graduation date, transcript print date, principal signatures, and then courses completed and for each year and their grades. And I know that's a lot of information. Again, you don't have to write this down. All of this is pulled directly from the MOU, the homeschool agreement. I'm using my legal terms here. All of this is pulled directly from our homeschool agreement, and it's also on our website. So you shouldn't have a hard time finding out exactly what this needs to have. And again, we have a template that you can use that does include all of these items. So here's what that looks like. I know it's super tiny. I'm not expecting you to be able to see it, but basically the boxes in red are the areas that I just explained on the last slide that are required. So just so you guys understand exactly kind of what that looks like. Like I said, I think a couple of times, this is just a sample. You can format it however you want. We just ask that it is not handwritten. We ask that it's fully typed. Okay, so the next thing is the grad plan. And this, like I said, differs a little bit from the transcript in that it's going to show us classes that the student is going to take in the future and are required by your homeschool as graduation requirements. The requirements for the form itself are very similar to the transcript, which is why they could be combined, but it's going to be the student's name, name of the high school, graduation plan, print date, principal signature, anticipated graduation date, and then any courses that the student has left to take for the undergraduate high school. And on the next slide, we will look at exactly kind of what that looks like. So in this situation, we have a student who is coming to us for their 11th grade year. That's what the 11th and 12th grade year are the 2 bottom boxes. And the 2 top boxes aren't filled in because they have that information already provided on their transcript. So that's why those are blank. And in the bottom 2, they have listed just general sampling of the courses that they're required to take. One of the most common things that we see on our grad plans is a parent or a student who puts the exact specific courses that they're going to take. So they say, I know I'm going to take biology 1406, and I'm going to take chemistry 1411, and I'm going to take history 2311, and then they list them all out, and they're like, yeah, this is great. And then they come to us the next semester, and they're like, oh, I didn't really like that class, so I'm going to switch a little bit to a different type of science. I'm going to switch to a different type of math because that's not really, I changed my mind. My degree plan is a little bit different now. And it just makes it messy. So what we suggest is you keep it super generic. If your student has 4 years of English that's required, don't put that one of them is English 1301 and one of them is English 2332 and one of them, et cetera. Just put English. Same with your math, your sciences, your social studies. You can even list that a student needs to take, 2 or 3 electives in order to graduate, just like a high school student would. So that's just a pro tip that we have seen from many people going through this process, and it's just going to make your life easier. The one thing I will remind you of is that while we provide dual credit courses, we are in no way, shape, or form a high school entity. We do not advise on requirements to complete a high school degree. I get that question a lot where people say, what classes should I take in order to finish my high school? I don't know, and I'm not going to advise you on that, because I don't want to be the person that you come to and you say, well, you said, et cetera, and you didn't get to graduate high school because you didn't meet TEA requirements. That's totally on you as the homeschool administrator to ensure that your student is meeting any requirements set forth by TEA. I can absolutely tell you what classes will apply for associate's degree. I can tell you what classes are eligible for dual credit, but as far as the structure of the graduation plan, we can't advise on that, and we can't tell you how that's supposed to look. Okay, so the last form is our course approval form, and we have it listed here in 3 different ways because these are 3 different terms that you'll hear us use interchangeably all the time. That's our course approval form, our registration form, or our blue form, because contrary to this image, the form is usually printed on light blue paper. And so you'll see it referred to in all 3 of those ways. But this registration form is going to be, and I don't know if you can see this, it's probably pretty small, but it's got at the top, it's got, just basic biographical information. It's got a spot for a student signature. It's got a spot for a parent signature, and then it's got a spot for a homeschool administrator signature. So as a parent and homeschool administrator, you're going to sign this form twice. And you just can't see that bottom section because it's cut off. But this is the form that you turn in that will actually get you registered for classes. So one of the things that I want to tell you about when you're trying to identify what classes to take, and that's on this next page, this is the bottom half of the form, and it says, to be completed by a high school principal or designee. I get a lot of people who fill this in, who leave this blank because they don't realize that that's them. In this situation, you guys are that high school principal or designee. This section is the part that tells me where your child or where the student is going to be enrolled. If you don't fill this in, I don't know what to do with you. I don't know where I'm supposed to put you. One of the common things that I also see is the student will just put English 1301, and then because I think maybe the misconception is that they fill out this form to get approval and then you go pick the course later. But that's not the case. As a dual credit student, you can't register yourself. So when you turn all of this paperwork in, we're actually doing the physical registration for you. So in order to do that, we have to know exactly which course you want to be in, which section you want to be in, with which instructor you want to be in, what time. Because we don't want to choose that for you. We want to give you, this is a college course, we want to give you the ability to choose your own classes. So this is just a quick example to show you the one on the top there. That is not how you want to fill it in, because I will immediately respond back to you and say, okay, I need you to tell me exactly which section and which class. And the bottom is an example of what it should look like with the class information filled in. And also make sure that you always check that dual credit box for us so we know exactly what classes the student is trying to take. You may be wondering, why would you ever check the college credit box? That situation would happen if your student is wanting to take a class that is not eligible for dual credit. So for example, your student wants to take that PhD 1164 class I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. All of our students are allowed to take all of our courses, with the exception of those developmental courses that I mentioned. They're allowed to take any course on our campus that they want. And if it's not dual credit eligible, they can still take it. You just don't get that tuition discount. And so there's another class that we see a lot of dual credit students take. It's our EDUC 1300 class. And that is a course that is required for all first-time in college students to take their first semester. And it's actually a really great class to take your first semester because it gives you a lot of, we call it our college knowledge course. It gives you a lot of really good information. It helps develop study habits, and it tells you, gets you to know services on campus a whole lot, but it's not required for dual credit because it's not eligible as dual credit. So if your student wants to take those courses, they absolutely can. You're just going to have to check the college credit only box on there, and then they can go forward with taking the course. Okay, so this is an update special for the COVID-19 situation. Usually when you want to register, you print out all those packets, you come to the campus, you get in line to meet with an advisor, you talk to somebody, they register you right there, you go make your payment, and you're done. Obviously, things have had to change right now. So since we are all working remotely, we have created an online form that you will use to submit all of your dual credit documents. And that form is posted on our website, and it explains all of the, basically everything you need to complete, but you'll upload your entire packet as one document. And then the advising team will pull that registration document, those registration documents, and register you for classes based on that. So we do say during this busy time especially, it can take up to 2 business days for them to respond and confirm that they have either registered you or that they need more information. So one of the things that I recommend, and that's my little pro tip at the bottom there, is that we know it's frustrating when you guys have a specific class that you want to take and you can't register yourself for it. And because they fill up, there's a possibility that that class may be full, may be open when you chose it, but it may be full by the time the advisor gets to register you. So in order to prevent delays and back and forth emails of which sections are available and which ones you want, I always suggest that you include something in your paperwork that says, this is my number 1 choice. If that one's not available, here's my number 2 choice. Sometimes people even provide a number 3 choice. That way, we get your paperwork. If that first one is full, we will always try to put you in that first one, your number 1 priority one first. But if it's not available, then we don't have to go back and forth trying to figure out what you want. So that's just a good practice to do that in case those classes aren't available. Okay, so I'm not sure why my box is not the right size. It wasn't like this on my presentation when I prepared it, so I'm sorry it doesn't quite look as pretty as it normally would. But just a couple quick important reminders for you guys. These classes that your student is taking are college classes. They will follow them to wherever they go. So we want to make sure that these students take these classes seriously, and that you guys make sure that they are emotionally, not just academically ready, but emotionally ready to handle college courses, because they are a part of their permanent college record. Because of that, we have a policy in place that says that if a student makes a D or an F in a dual credit class, they are no longer allowed to continue in the program. And that's not meant to be necessarily a punitive measure. It is meant to protect them. We do not want to have a student who completely destroys their academic record by the time they're 16 years old, because they didn't realize how serious it was to have a college grade and that it would follow them. So we just put that in place to make sure that the students take this seriously, and make sure that we're doing everything we can on our side to protect them as much as we can. And then, of course, if you guys are going to transfer, if your student is going to transfer to another community college or to a university, you will have to request a transcript and have that sent over to them, and that is completed through the student's myloneStar account, and there is a $10 charge to request that transcript. So this is just a little bit of kind of general good practice for students and for classroom expectations. Always make sure you know who your professor's name is and contact information. Don't be afraid to email the professor. I hear from a lot of high school students dual credit students who don't want to bother the professor, or they don't want to ask a question because they might sound stupid. They want to hear from you, and they will work with you. If you have questions or if you have concerns, they want to hear from you. So make sure that you know how to reach them if you need them. And a lot of them have virtual office hours right now where they can be made available for a phone call or even a WebEx meeting, but they're always available by email. So make sure you take advantage of that. It's always a good idea to purchase the course textbook. You do not have to purchase it from our bookstore. You can purchase it from anywhere you want to buy a textbook or rent. You can always rent if you want to. Make sure you read that class syllabus. It's going to outline your entire semester and tell you what to expect for that semester and what your deadlines are, and you have a really good overview of what you're getting into. And then, of course, when you go to class, a lot of our classes are take attendance into account in their grade, so make sure that you go every time. And if you don't go, that you reach out to your professor and let them know that you're not going to be there. One of the nice things about LoneStar is that we do have small class sizes. Most of our classes are a max of 32 students. And so if you're absent one day, they'll probably notice. And so it's not like a big lecture hall with 250 students where if you don't come to class, the professor won't know. And a lot of times they'll reach out to you if you don't show up to see what's going on. So if you do have to miss for some reason, reach out to the professor, let them know, see if there's anything that they can do to help you. And then it's always a good idea just to meet one student in the class in case something happens, or to have a study buddy. But that's just kind of a good general support. Okay, so a couple quick changes for COVID-19 that's going on right now, because I get this question all the time. So people want to know, are we still planning on having in-person classes at the LoneStar campus? The answer right now might be different than the answer would be in a couple of days from now, a couple of weeks from now. But as of right now, we have 25% of our classes are in person, 25% are hybrid, and 50% are online. So those in-person classes are going to be with a maximum capacity of between 12 and 15 students, and you will be required to wear a mask at all times when you're on campus. And the schedule builders are trying to do their best to make sure that the number of students that the classes are staggered such that their number of students in this particular building is kept to a minimum and all of that kind of thing. So we're taking all the precautions that we can. I will tell you, we do have, while we do have 25% of the classes in person, majority of those classes are going to be courses that you just simply cannot have online. So those are going to be mostly workforce courses where there's a specific skill that the student has to learn in person that you can't learn being online. So the majority of our courses for you guys are going to be either hybrid or online. So hybrid classes are mostly online work with 1 to 2 class meeting days per week. And then the online classes are going to be fully online, as the name implies, and they'll either be asynchronous, which means that there's no set meeting time for the student to actually attend class, or they'll be scheduled with, like, you have to join a WebEx from 2 to 3 every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And when the student signs up for the class, that information will be provided in the class details. So make sure that you guys are looking at that to ensure that if you are doing a class with an online scheduled time, that you don't make sure it doesn't conflict with something else you've got going on, because you will be expected to attend virtually for those classes. Okay, so we are almost at the end here. We're at the payment step. So we will hold your student in their class once you've registered until payment deadline. Then this semester payment deadline is August 15th. Overnight on August 15th, if you have not made payment, you will be dropped from the classes. So please, please, please make sure, for your own sake, that you make that payment before the 15th, so that you don't lose spots that you have. And you can make payment through your myloneStar account. Right now, in-person payment isn't an option, and there are payment plans available if you need them. Okay, just a little bit of information about dropping courses. So obviously we know life happens, and that you may, for whatever reason, need to drop a class. If you drop a class after official day of record, which is the 10th, in a normal semester class, which is the 10th day of class, you will get a W on the student transcript. If you drop before then, it will not show on your transcript. So if you get in the class the first day and realize that this isn't quite for you, you can drop the course within the first few days of class without any penalty on the transcript. You will have to pay a certain percentage of the course. You'll get a refund, but not a full refund if you drop after the first day. If you drop before the first day, you get a 100% refund, and then that refund goes down incrementally the further that you get into the class. One of the benefits of dual credit is that in a normal situation, a student only has 6 W's that they are allowed in the state of Texas for drops. So you drop 2 courses here, those 2 courses follow you to A&M, and then now you only have 4 courses that you can drop at A&M. And so they have a 6-course drop limit maximum. Dual credit students are not affected by that 6 drop rule. So it will still appear on your transcript with a W, but it won't count towards the maximum. So, and there's a little information on the course repeat policy. You can retake a course. Most situations this doesn't occur with dual credit students, simply because if you would only repeat a course if you make a failing grade, and since you can't take courses with after you make below a C, it doesn't happen very much. But there is a additional charges called a three-peat charge. If you take a class 3 or more times, you have to pay basically what amounts to out-of-state tuition on those classes. Okay, so I've seen a few questions come into the chat, so I'm going to switch over to that and answer the questions that you have, and then we will, but if you guys have any other questions, feel free to submit those now. Let me go over to the chat here and see what we've got. Okay. So I have a question. If my son attended public school up until this year, would I just give you his high school transcript from him in high school? Yes. So if you have a student who took public school for the first 2 years, you can just provide us with an unofficial copy of his high school transcript for this first semester, and then when you're getting ready to register for the spring, you'll provide us with a transcript that includes both his public high school records and his homeschool records combined into one, or you can provide both again. But yes, you can absolutely just provide that public school transcript. Are there any exemptions if your child's SAT and ACT have been continually canceled? Do we have to take the other test, or can they submit an ACT or SAT score when they test in September? That's a great question. So we do have some test exemptions available, and those are listed on our website. We, in certain circumstances, can register a student based on their high school transcript and temporarily bypass the testing requirement. I say this with caution because, again, we want to make sure that the student is fully academically prepared to take dual credit classes, and really the best way to find this out is for them to do a placement exam, because that will really give you a great idea of where they are academically. But if for some reason you either can't take the TSI and, like you said, the ACT or SAT has been canceled, you can send us the high school transcript and we can review it to see if we can exempt you from taking that test. However, there is still a good possibility that the student will have to test sometime during that fall semester. So I say it like that because the THECB, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board, is the one who sets these rules for us. And they say that the student it's just a temporary exemption, and the student will have to take the TSI during that first semester. But if the student passes the course and it's very clear the student is going to pass their course in the fall semester, then they don't have to take the TSI. So that's exactly how they describe it to us. They don't really give us an explanation of what that means, of what it means to be very clear that the course is, that the student is going to be successful. But I think you would know if the student, by a certain point, if the student is not going to pass, that you would need to take that TSI before they can register for the spring semester. So I hope that answered your question. Is one semester of a DC course equal to 1 year of a high school course? Typically, we see you do 2 DC classes to 1 full year high school course. So typically, I'll give you an example for our public high school students. For their English 3, they take English 1301 in the fall and English 1302 in the spring. That is, they get 1 high school credit and they get 6 college credits. So, and for those of you who aren't familiar with credits and hours and what I mean by that and how many, what that means, I know that's not something that's common knowledge to everybody. That second number in the course name is going to tell you how many credit hours the class is. So English 1301, 3 credit hours. Chemistry 1411, that's 4 credit hours. And for the most part, most of your classes are going to be 3 credit hours. And so for the most part, you're going to do 2 college classes to 1 high school class. Can DC students submit AP scores for college credit at LSC? What score is needed? Yes, absolutely. You can submit AP scores. The score that's required is going to vary based on the test, but in general, a 3 or higher is going to get you credit for a class. So if you submit those scores to us, then we will we'll be able to give them credit for those courses. The one thing I will tell you about AP scores is that the institution, the only institution that is able to actually award you credit for those courses is the one who graduates you. So, for instance, if you come to us with a 3 AP English score, we will allow you to bypass English 1301, and that's all great, and you can go into English 1302. However, if you transfer from us to UT, who requires a 4 for their AP English score, that requirement is not necessarily met. So you may need to take that AP or that English class in order to meet that requirement. So I say all of that because if you were to finish your full associates with us, it would be a moot point because we would award you that credit at graduation. But if you transfer before you graduate, it's a possibility that those credits may not apply. Okay, so how do you get an assigned advisor? So we only assign advisors to students if they go through the EDUC class. And that's because most students, the EDUC class is required their first semester, and so it just makes sense to assign students through that. So as a dual credit student, you would not get an assigned advisor. However, when you email, or when you submit your registration forms to advising, you will get those documents sent to a particular advisor, and then you're welcome to continue corresponding with them in the future if you're happy with how their service was and all that. And they can unofficially be your assigned advisor, but we don't assign advisors right now. And then can homeschoolers from out of state be dual enrollment students at LoneStar? And does it cost the same or more? So we try not to poach students from other districts. So if there is a student who is a homeschooler and they have a community college that is in their region, we generally tell them that you need to attend your local college in order to take dual credit classes. That being said, if there is a situation where they don't have any other options, they could come talk to us and see if we could accommodate them and do dual credit with us. But it would be made, the decision would be made on a case-by-case basis. And the cost, we don't charge additional for, so if you are in district or out of district, the cost is the same for dual credit students, so the cost wouldn't be any different. Do other LSC campuses do dual credit for homeschool? Yes, all of our campuses have homeschool dual credit, and you can take classes at any campus. So there should be one campus that is considered your home campus that you work through. We all have the same requirements for documents and things like that, but it's always good to kind of have one central campus that the majority of your classes are taking place, but you can register for classes at any of the 7 campuses that we have, any of the locations. I have a question of what is the deadline to get this all in so the children can start the semester? So we can register students all the way up until the first day of class. However, I think I mentioned earlier that we are about to get into our peak season of registration. So the longer that you wait, the more time everything is going to take, the more time testing is going to take, the more time it's going to take for an advisor to get to your submission. And so I would strongly recommend that you guys start this process now. And that way you're not trying to butt up against the last day of class. And then also the other thing that happens is, I mentioned earlier, is that the longer you wait, the faster those classes disappear. So when there's 1 or 2 seats left, the chances of you getting into that seat are going to be a lot lower when you get into August because everybody's trying to register. So the deadline is the first day of class, but again, just try and do it as soon as possible. We're still a month out, but if you guys are going to be doing TSI testing, you'll need to go ahead and request that testing soon because, like I said, there is a bit of a delay there. So I think that's all the questions. I did get a question about the tuition chart and how much the cost is. I can go back, but all of that is found on our website, and we have it broken down. Oh, there it is. Okay, so you can see the cost, and this will vary a little bit. One of the things that is going to change is because we are not on campus right now, they are waiving the student activities fee, and that's $2 per credit hour. So this cost is actually higher than it will be in reality. So it's actually going to be $76 for 3 credit hours, and they just made that change. And I don't know how long that change will go. Right now, it's just through the fall. So, but it might change and go back up. So let me make sure that there's no more questions. I think that's all my questions that I have right now. I will stay on for just a few more minutes in case you guys have any other last minute questions, but that is all we have for you today. So please make sure you visit our website at lonestar.edu. Let me go back, lonestar.edu/Montgomery dual credit. It has everything you could think of on there. It has FAQs of all of the common questions that we get. It's got, all kinds of different resources for you. So please make sure you check it out. Again, this PowerPoint presentation is posted up there, so you'll have all of that access to that information. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us.